Hey, folks, this clip is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com and type in promo code VOLS, that's VOLS, at checkout to fill your freezer with enough gourmet food to keep your cookouts going strong into the fall. That is omahasteaks.com, promo code VOLS. All right, we are joined now by a Tennessee legend and somebody who's also becoming a radio legend in Nashville. Legend all the way around, and he's definitely a legend for the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of their great offensive linemen, or I guess previously offensive lineman for them. Ramon Foster is with us once again. I believe our only repeat guest. Actually, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, gents? It's good, man. By the way, Zach, it's weird you got on that Mets hat, man. I didn't realize how much like you're hated down here because of that hat.
Oh, yeah. I get a lot of grief over that, but I'll stick with
Yeah,
it.
shocked the heck out of me. I was like, it's the Mets. What are y'all so mad about? Of course, hearing the Timmy trumpets all year long was a thing of mine. Loved it, absolutely loved it. With all the Braves fan in the Tennessee area, I was just like, it's got to be hell for you, man. That's all. I just needed to drop that real quick.
Yeah, this was like one of their really decent seasons, so it was even worse from the Braves fans because usually the Mets aren't that relevant, so it's not too bad.
I like it though. I'm here for it. Just in case you was wondering, I like it.
Yeah, it's tough. The 1 year where they really made noise and it still kind of blew up in their face. It's tough.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we've, as Tennessee fans, I think we've learned. But Ramon with us, and I when we have a captive audience like this, we gotta ask you about the things that you know best, and that will be the offensive line in football.
Yeah.
Tennessee this year, through the first 6 games, if I have my stats correctly, gave up 10 sacks, had some phenomenal performances, specifically against Alabama. Basically blanked Will Anderson and had just these great games. And then the last 3 games, they've given up 12 sacks. 6 of those were against Georgia,
Yeah.
but also 6 combined against Missouri and Kentucky. And I guess my question is, outside of just getting straight up big boy, like I think they did against Georgia, where they're just 5 stars, what can make an offensive line have a tough performance like that? And also what gets them out of it? Because like the second half of the Missouri game, they kind of got their act together.
Yeah. I think it's I won't say obvious, but because you dropped 66 points on the team, it doesn't seem like they got a good defense. We know what Georgia is. Georgia had a D tackle, man, that was out of this world. They got pressure. Just to say this about what Georgia has too, their secondary. I didn't see. I think for me this year, I saw what I guess A-level tier 1 elite college cornerback play looks like. We saw those dudes, man. We saw the Vols attempting double moves, cutting on guys and just doing everything you needed them to, or everything they've done to other teams all year long. And those Georgia cornerbacks and safeties did not bite on anything. You couple that with the fact that they had a rush up front, man, that was bar none to anybody else that we've seen the entire year. That leads to sacks. That leads to Hendon Hooker holding the ball, just looking downfield, hoping somebody get open, and it didn't happen. We didn't have the adjustments for that. And as much as guys think, well, just block the man in front of you when it comes down to offensive line play, it's a little bit stickier than that, man, especially when it's good on good, too. And Georgia has some really good players up front. And I guess you just kind of say it's covered sacks and then it's getting beat man to a man. I think as of late, we've seen a little bit of both of those happen, and that's where that number gets up a little high. But going to the Missouri game, they were ranked the 13th best defense in college football to my knowledge too. And seeing them up front being able to work and just get to the quarterback in the same sense. Teams are going to try to take away what Tennessee does well, and that's, their receivers, kind of confusing the guys up front, stunting. We saw a little bit of that. And from what I saw in the past Missouri game, you saw a little bit of the games up the middle when it comes down to how they protected. I saw Jerome Carvin, not put his foot back down and covering up the linebacker that was blitzing. You have a little bit of those things that happen. It's just a readjustment. When you lose a game the way you did against Georgia, of course, just as you guys know, in all sports, professional and collegiate and probably high school too, it is a copycat league when it comes down to what the team before you did to beat you is going to do. And they adjusted, I feel like, in the second half. They realized who the heck they were. They established the run game even better than they did in the first half. And when you play in those type games, I think you get a little edgy or you get a little tight. And that's the one thing that I'm hoping they adjust to moving forward from here on out when it comes down to the offensive line. Because as much as we make a fuss about or praise the wide receiver and Hendon Hooker and stuff like that, no, it really comes down to those big boys up front, offensively and defensively.
With the offensive line, it's something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about because with the tempo, everybody kind of focuses on what it does to the defense. But getting later in the season, does that take a toll on the offensive line and the offensive players? Because they're out there moving just as fast as the opposing defense as well. They're playing a lot more snaps than typical. And how would you feel as a former offensive lineman playing in this tempo? Do you think it would impact you late in the season?
I love it. I'm talking about I love it. We didn't really do no huddle in at UT when I was there with Ainge and Coach Cutcliffe and stuff like that. It was call it in the huddle, run it at the line of scrimmage. We may have a check or two, but it really wasn't that. And when I got to the NFL and having an experienced quarterback and having, you know, a guy that understands the offense, it changes everything, okay? And it got to a point where we start off the game, and I'll never forget. I wish I can find the script. I'm sure I have one in the house. We'd have 3 plays that we were going to open up the game at, and then the rest of it would say Ben. And that would be the offense, okay? Call it and haul it is the way it was. And after a while, not even after a while, you start to understand that as an offensive lineman, you can pace yourself a little bit better than a defensive lineman can. I used to absolutely love it when we go no huddle. And we're 3 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards, first down, continually rolling down the field with the way that the offense can run. And all you see is hands on knees, guys not able to look across the line of scrimmage because the worst part about playing defense whenever you got a team that can go no huddle is they have to run to the ball. If a defender does not run to the ball, it could be a touchdown. If a defender doesn't run to the ball, it's an explosion play. And defensive linemen, they absolutely hate it. The OL, heck, I can set in my set 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 seconds, the ball is out. Even in the run game, it wears them down so much so that they like pushing 300-pounders against 300-pounders will wear on a defender more than it will an offensive lineman. And the pace of that is just phenomenal, man. I would absolutely love it if we did that more in colleges. And truthfully, I'm not shocked. I'm shocked that other teams don't do this more often. Not even just the pace, but the pace that Tennessee uses. I would even just look at it as like, no, we're not going to allow you to sub out. I used to joke all the time because in camp, like defenses, like they get 3 plays and they're exchanging. And we used to say all the time, oh, that's a disadvantage because the offensive linemen have to stay out here for 70 plays. If I was an OC in this climate of football, I would have spreads throughout the game where I said no huddle the entire time. That's all we're going to do for either a quarter or either a spell of a quarter is we're not allowing you on the sideline or either you're going to have to take a timeout.
Fall is in the air, and that means fall grilling with cookouts, tailgate parties, and so much more. Luckily, the flavor experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to savor all the flavors of fall with their mouthwatering assortments of perfectly aged steaks, ultra juicy burgers, and easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. And now is the perfect time to load up on all this incredible flavor and take advantage of 50% off site-wide by shopping their Friends and Family sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code Vols, that is VOLS, at checkout and get $30 off your order. And guys, I've said it in these ads for weeks now. I've had all of the stuff from Omaha Steaks. I can't endorse it enough. Everything has been high quality. It comes right to your door, so easy and convenient. And I mean, most importantly, tasty. So I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. So don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and stock up today. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak. It's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. And don't forget to score that extra $30 off your order when you use Vols at checkout, VOLS. Omaha Steaks is perfect for those chilly and busy fall nights. You won't come close to getting this kind of quality at the grocery store. Visit omahasteaks.com. Promo code Vols at checkout. Minimum order may be required. Omaha Steaks. So you were on the last team at Tennessee to win 10 games in a season, if I'm thinking correct. What, 07?
07, yep.
When you look at it as a former Vol who is on one of the benchmark teams, we look back and we go like, this is the best season since X.
Yeah.
I mean, How does it feel watching this? You were very complimentary of Heupel during the offseason when we had you on the first time.
Yeah.
And I mean, now that all this is unfolded, how are you feeling watching all this?
I told somebody in a joking way, just jealous of it. Like legitimately, like as a player, I'm proud as heck. You know what I'm saying? Just as what it is. But watching what they did, I feel like they've just eclipsed anything that we thought we were doing right. You know, just the way the team is kind of structured, the way they've gelled together with one another, the exposure that they have, the winning the way they win more than anything. I mean, think about it. To beat Bama, Florida, LSU all in the same freaking year. That's for Vols fans. I've always said until we started getting two of the three, the big three, Georgia, Florida, Alabama. Hey, I guess we supplement Georgia with LSU this year in a sense, but to get two of those three or three of those is amazing. Our season was awesome, but watching this group kind of come together and actually be in play for the college football playoff, man, it's a dream season. That's why I tweeted out after the game. A tip of the hat goes to the senior class that stuck around, that really fought through what a team is, changing the culture. We had a really good season in 07 and 08. My senior year was probably bad because there wasn't any carryover. I think the way they've kind of laid a foundation for this group that's there with the Vols right now, there seems to be carryover. There's a coach that has stability. Coach Foreman didn't have as much stability in 07 as I think Coach Heupel does, because there's the backing of the AD. Winning and a quarterback definitely helps all of that too. But you see a difference in just eras and how they've kind of just brought this thing full tilt. I felt like we were on the down end of what good Tennessee is, and this group is on the up end of it, to where it's just like, oh, yeah, this is what 97, 98 felt like for those guys, in a sense of just leaving it better than it was. I guess 96 to 98.
Speaking of the playoff, and obviously that's a huge topic of discussion this week, does TCU and USC, if they win out, do they have any business being in this playoff over Tennessee? Because it seems like that's kind of the narrative that's being pushed a little bit by some. There are some out there like Reese Davis who kind of thinks Tennessee should get in there. But what's the deal? What do you think about it?
If you're a realist about it, there's no way that they should. Like, I get the understanding of it all. Like TCU, I'm here for it. I saw them beat UT Junior. I mean, they beat Texas the way they did on Saturday night. But the overall wins and losses, no, I get they're undefeated. But if we're really looking at the way they did the week one unveiling of the college football playoffs, where you had a one-loss Alabama team ahead of them, but there's not a one-loss Tennessee Vols team ahead of them, it doesn't make sense. There's no rhyme or reason to it. USC, to me, heck, they played on a Friday night and nobody spoke of it. You see what I'm saying? And then look at the strength of schedule of the teams they're playing. You had a strong Pac-12 team in Utah get smacked by a Florida team in which we beat. You know, just if we're really looking at the ins and out of what this entails, no, they should not be in it. I respect the representation of what the Pac-12 could mean, having a Big 12 team in it. But no, this isn't the case. And even in years past, we've been faced with this situation before, and we still got an Alabama, Georgia. You know, we still got those two teams in it. So what makes it different other than the optics of an undefeated, or you don't want to upset a fan base? There'll be no other fan base more upset than a Vols fan base if that's the game they want to play. The Pac-12, to me, I ask a question, and I'll ask you guys too. Where does a USC team fit in this SEC this year? Not the early 2000s, this year. LSU, maybe. Ole Miss-esque, a little bit better than Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's probably what I would say.
I mean, it kind of feels like to me that they're going, like when you talk about Alabama, it's okay. We think Alabama's better than Clemson. That's why they're ahead of Clemson. We thought they were better than TCU. That's why they're ahead of TCU. But then when it comes to Tennessee, it feels like they're saying, okay, we want to look at your resume. It's not who the best team is in the top four. It's who has the best resume. And there seems to be some inconsistencies there with that.
It is one of the best teams in the Pac-12 got smacked by Georgia. And I know that was the beginning of the season. They got to be truthful about it. And maybe this is the theatrics of what the production is when it comes down to the CFP, because now we do have humans that have to judge this and not a computer. And I'd almost look at this and say to myself, if this was the BCS, the computer would put Tennessee ahead, probably Michigan and TCU, but we're not in that era right now.
As somebody who's lived outside of the South for a decent chunk of your life, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, the closest I've gotten, I lived in Virginia for a year and kind of saw that, but it's not the same. You were in like a Midwest city in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like, do people hate the SEC as much as it seems like? And do you think that if that is the case, will that weigh in here, do you think, with the playoff?
I don't know if they hate it. They just can't understand it. I don't think they get it. Like a game in Pitt, and we went to college games in Pitt too, while I was in Pittsburgh. It's just a social event. It's just, hey, the Panthers are playing, and this is cool. I'll give credit to Penn State. They are all in. Happy Valley is serious. Okay, Notre Dame is serious. But there is that Ohio State is serious also. But the way we take it down south is just way different. It just is. And will that weigh into it? Maybe because y'all get the benefit of the doubt because y'all are in the SEC. Well, yeah, that's okay too. I mean, in the sense of what you have to go through week in and week out, it shouldn't weigh into it, but it will. And I'll say this, I'll say this. I've talked to people in Pittsburgh that are Pitt fans that said they enjoy watching the Vols more than they do the Panthers. That ought to tell you where they are as far as football goes and where the respect factor turns into play when it comes down to judging each conference. I don't think the ACC could sniff what we have going on in the SEC right now.
Shifting gears just a little bit, I'm sure you've talked about it on 104.5 The Zone this week because it's again been a big topic of discussion. But how did you feel about the end of the Missouri game? Josh Heupel putting points on the board. Were you ever in a similar situation in college on either side of it where you're blowing somebody out or you're getting blown out? Like what's the feeling of a player in that situation? Not so much a fan.
A player in that situation, man. Yeah, I feel like we've been through it a little bit. Alabama, we played them in 2007. I thought we had a very solid team. They ended up beating us like 41, I think, to like 17-14, whatever the score was in that game. And I'll be honest with you, by far one of the most. That's when I felt like the tide was changing, no pun intended, when it came down to what Nick Saban was going to do in the SEC. We were competing, and then it just steamrolled. I'm talking about just snowball downhill. And every score they could get, they were going to get it. Every chant they could get, they were going to chant it. Like, it was by far one of the, okay, this is what you do when you're one of those teams. And you know, all I had to say to myself, and the same thing I tell my kids, like, seriously, I tell my boys, you don't like something, stop it. So what? They ran it up on you. That's where I'm at. That's sports to me. My motto has always been, if it's a game between me and you, I'm going to step on your neck to get what I want. My kids live by this. The kids that I coach live by this. Look, y'all. Look, all right, I get it. We'll give somebody else the ball here. Well, Heupel did. He put his backups in. This is a part of the game. I don't want to use this, we're getting soft type of culture, but this is sports. It's played a certain type of way. If the guy is the big dog on campus, either go knock him out the way you need to or just shut up about it until you get better. We as Vols fans had to shut up about stuff for a very long time. Nobody said anything in 2017 and 18 when Missouri dropped 51 on us or whatever it was, 45 or 51. Nobody said anything then, but maybe it's just the vacuum that we're in that got to deal with this. And I just say to myself, stop it. There's no other way around it. Plus, the style points do matter right now. Almost every AP voter I saw on social media said, all right, Vols, it's time to put up. And you go put that up against the 13th ranked college football defense. Yeah, beat it.
It definitely.
And yeah, I'm a little cocky right now. It is what it is. I've been down for a long time, guys.
It definitely felt odd that, I mean, USC kind of did the exact same thing that Friday night game that like nobody really watched, and maybe that's why it's not being talked about, but it happens almost every week, and it kind of shocked me it was such a big deal.
People just want to talk, and I know we are hard to deal with on social media. I get that, but every fan base is. You know how many times I've been on the road with guys who are from Ohio State when I played with the Steelers, and then we walk into the say, OH, and I got to hear that IO. Like, I don't want to hear all that. Everybody does the exact same thing. Nobody said anything when Ohio State is blowing out people, so stop it. It's weird to me.
I really want to get Tennessee back to the real brand respect. I think that's still what you see happening here, where even a team now, even though they have a new coach and everything, like Notre Dame still kind of gets like a benefit of the doubt and some stuff just because they had good teams for all that time with Brian Kelly. But I mean, specifically Alabama, Georgia, Clemson is a huge one this year.
No, A&M at this point.
Yeah.
A&M. But this is also why I give credit to Heupel. I give credit to AD Danny White, Chancellor Dowd, and like everybody involved with the program right now too. If you guys noticed this year, and I'm sure you have, the 4 different helmet changes and uniform tweaks we've had. Like, to me, I had to even be real with myself. Like, why would we do this? I had some of my VFL brothers just like, dude, we don't need black helmets. And I had to tell them, hey, what's a Vol to these kids that was born in 2004?
Yeah.
What are we to them? So if every primetime game we've had, almost every big game except for Bama and maybe Georgia, LSU, smoky gray. Halloween, primetime game, all black. What other game did we have? Oh, this game right here, primetime game against South Carolina, orange helmets. Think about all the things that's happened this year. Is to rebuild the brand to where you're talking about, Charlie, like the brand, like ambassadors, is putting it on display. Like, yeah, I don't want to go camo jerseys and stuff like that, but there is a form of, all right, this is who we are. It's fun to look at us. It's fun to watch us play the style that we do. It's necessary. I brought this up on our show. If you guys go back to those years, was the 06-07 with Bobby Petrino with Louisville. Think about how much they had to do to get to where they were even considered in a BCS Bowl. Playing on Thursday nights, playing on Friday nights, having to beat Miami the way they did in those. Like, only reason I remember because my brother, it enticed me about the University of Louisville because they had more exposure on the weekdays and they ran scores up on folks. And that was a part of their brand building, so much so that he ended up getting an NFL job. And I know that crashed out real quick. And then he ended up going to Arkansas because of the way they play ball. So I understand why people get mad about it, but the jerseys are a part of this rebuild too, and helmets.
Yeah, I think it's actually brilliant that they're doing it this Saturday night because it's the last South Carolina home game. They always make a big deal about the entrance at South Carolina, and it is a good one. But then you've got these orange helmets that first time Tennessee's wearing them, and that's going to kind of take away from all that with South Carolina. So I think it's a very strategic thing that Danny White and Tennessee's doing with that.
And what will the commentators be speaking of? If I'm not mistaken, it's Herb Street. What is he going to be speaking of? Probably the helmets and just what Heupel has done. Oh, what has he done in the last? That's recruiting 101. And on top of this too, and it's almost kind of petty, but the hotbeds of recruiting, and a lot of people don't really realize this, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. You're in front of their fans, their recruits that weekend. And if you look at the teams that have been good throughout the history of the Vols, it's been heavy North and South Carolina recruits.
Well, hopefully David Hobbs will be watching because that's a player Tennessee needs from North Carolina.
Yeah, but I'll make this the last question for you. We had Jabari Davis on here a few weeks ago.
Juice.
Yeah, it was awesome. But he specifically mentioned just the way that the former players are being treated right now by this current staff and administration. Have you experienced the same great treatment and your thoughts on it?
One, I think is dumb as ever for any coach to not exploit the players that's laid down in front of the players you're coaching. That's something that we dealt with. The idea that you had to make appointments to go work out in the weight room, in which you just worked out there before you graduated or played there. The idea that you don't want to extend olive branches to guys that, look, probably most of them are coaching and or have camps for kids that will potentially be recruits. Not that that's something that's going on, but there's influence all the way around, and just the greatness of some of those guys that played that maybe didn't go to the NFL but had significant moments on the field. It's a complete 360 now. To whereas you don't just have Peyton that's around, you have guys that even I had to ask questions like, who is that over there? But guess what? You never, and maybe they say that about me too, but You never saw that before, to where you have guys like Joey Kent that said to himself, like, man, he went on the field after we beat Alabama with his daughter because she never seen that before, and his son. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have that. I'm in the stands with my kids smoking a cigar and just appreciating it, and nobody bat an eye. I walk in the facility on Saturdays or Friday whenever we go up there or go to a baseball game, and it's open arms. It's, hey, yeah, you can go upstairs. Go ahead, do your thing. It's, man, I never seen it like this, except when it was the former era. Like, I walk out there and I see, Hainsworth working out. I'd see, Al Wilson on the indoor turf. Peyton coming around throwing with the guys in the summertime. Like, that went away because coaches with egos and, administration trying to make it about them and not about the guys that help build that and lay down that foundation. Listen to me. It is a great vibe. The VFL tailgate that they have, I'm seeing guys with their kids that are falling in love with it. It's, man, by far one of the best just environments for guys that are former players that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And, like, I get excited on the fan side now of just being like, yeah, look at it. Like, this some cool Jamal Lewis. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some cool stuff.
It almost feels like, I don't want to put words in your mouth by any means, but it almost feels like maybe the previous staffs, whoever it was, kind of felt threatened a little bit by the players, like with that maybe ego that you're talking about. And Heupel is just so at ease and comfortable with himself that there's none of that at all.
And you know what? You guys have been around. We're in Nashville, and we, covered the Titans, and watching Vrabel, and guys who either have a whole lot of respect for what the game is, like an Andy Reid, he played a little bit, or a Coach Tomlin that played, or, Pete Carroll that's been around in the LA scene that's kind of played, or those types of guys. They have no ego about the way they coach and who's after them. And I think that's the cool, calm part about Heupel, that you're just like, he ain't going to show you much. He won't give us much other than a smirk and maybe a joke here or there. But inside that locker room, the confidence that he has with his players just oozes out. And the guys in between, and even Lane had to admit he grew up and had to realize that it wasn't about him. Those dudes, I think, took that University of Tennessee, and said, watch what I can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you guys at the bottom of the barrel right now, but watch where I take you to. And they lost what the concept it was. It was the players. It was the product you putting on the field. It was, look, I'm in this with you guys, not watch me potentially use this job to get to somewhere else. So, yeah, I think it was a little bit of the ego that kind of lost him. I know for sure with the last guy, it was a good bit of that from all the stories circulating around him.
I do. You made me think of it in that last answer. Those are all amazing points, and it makes me so happy to hear that things are going so well, even in the parts where fans can't see.
Yeah.
But I do have to ask you, Mike Vrabel with the Titans.
Yeah.
Will he ever fire Todd Downing? Please.
You guys not been on my show, man, saying Todd Downing is my guy, okay? That's my dude. I'm here for Todd Downing, man. Simply because, okay, this is where I'm at with Todd Downing. I won't say his hands are handcuffed, but I will think it's more than probably just him, in the sense of, okay, what do you have on the roster? Where is it at? And I do think this, the plan in which Coach Vrabel wants to roll this team out. A tough as heck defense, right? Guys that are gritty, to almost a T, almost man to man with every free agent they bring in. It's the same mindset. He's ingrained that into people. And I think on the offensive side of the ball, it's, we're going to beat you up too. Derek is by far the biggest just contributor to this team wins. Hey, what are we going to do offensive? Break glass in case of an emergency. Oh, what's behind the glass? It's Derrick Henry. And when he's on, it's great. But when he's off, that's why I think it becomes handcuffed, because Todd and his staff have just dove so far into, we going to always have Derek or Derek type. And the creativity of what you do doesn't lend itself if Derek isn't there. If they, like Green, who was it last week, the Broncos that stopped Derek as much as they did. Well, now we got to dial up a trick play because, heck, they're stopping Derek. And then you just really give the playbook very small avenues. I do think there's more to what Todd Downing can do. I do, but as much as they use Derek and it's King 22 all the time, King Derek, that really puts a handicap on the coach. And I continuously ask this question, man, over and over. Are Titans fans, are we ready to move on for what Derek means to this offense and start opening up the playbook a little bit more? And almost everybody says, no, it's Derek or nobody else. So what are you supposed to do in that situation? You didn't go get any receivers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got tight ends that can block for Derek. You got tight ends that you can hit across the middle for Derek. Tannehill, to me, is a very capable quarterback. Well, what you going to do if it's break glass in case of emergency? Oh, just hand it to 22.
Well, I just know because that defense, man, I mean, we might have the best front seven in the NFL, and I just don't want to see it wasted. It makes me ill. Almost every game out, we're winning. We're winning games.
And Charlie, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just ain't capable. Okay, I know that I lay on that sword, but you're right though. That seems to be the style that they're gonna roll with though.
Man, that defense shut down Patrick Mahomes. That was something to watch.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, and almost should have won. Right? Should have won. So
yeah. Malik Willis at quarterback went to overtime with.
Think about that. Think about that.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. But Ramon, you're one of the best. I mean, I genuinely not that nobody's ever like rude to us or anything, but you are definitely one of the kindest with your time, one of the coolest dudes that we ever talked to. So we really appreciate it. The show, it's a newer name now, Ramon, Kalen, and Will, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it is, man. On 6 to 10 Central every day, Monday through Friday, 104.5 The Zone, man. If you're up for a good time, look, we always tell people, yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk sports in between time, too. That's what this is.
I listened to y'all a little this morning and heard you talking about the cleats in the ground reference that keeps going around.
You know why? I saw your video, Zach, and I was just like, wait a minute, dude. Did you put like voiceover on that? Is that what you did? Why is everybody saying that?
I have no idea. I watch, all the opponent press conferences each week, and after about the third time, I was like, what is this? I've never heard that before. Like, have you heard it as somebody that played football your whole life?
I've heard boots to ass, okay, from The Rock. I ain't ever heard cleats in the ground. I played football for a long time, okay? I'm not tooting my own horn. I've never heard a coach say, put our cleats in the grass. Never. I've heard we put our cleats on, we put our pants on the same way. Hey, we're going to meet them with the Rydell. I've heard all of that. But to have, 5 teams use that same saying? You're playing with us, Zach. That's a voiceover. You're using AI on us for sure.
When I saw that video, I immediately texted Zach. I was like, "How did you even find this?
Yeah.
It's such a weird."
Behind this, yesterday, I was listening. I was picking my son up from school, and we're driving home, and I'm playing the press conference with the player over the audio, and I about had to pull over when the player said it. I was like, I cannot believe this. I cannot get home fast enough to tweet this out.
Oh, I don't know which was worse. Was that or Beamer talking about he wished that Hendon was still at VTech? I actually wouldn't. As a coach, I wouldn't have said that.
That's painful.
I mean, when you got, I guess, Rattler as your quarterback, you will say anything, right?
I guess I like to make these kind of a little more evergreen. We didn't really talk about South Carolina, and I don't want to go too long here.
Oh, good.
But Beamer, his whole thing, it has been weird. He kind of seems like Butch Light, but then this week, it's almost felt like him and the players are sort of like, well, I hope they don't put 50 on us. Like, that almost feels like their vibe this week.
I think defensive lineman, man, he's talking about Tennessee's tempo. He almost sounded out of breath just talking about it.
Yeah. Like, Kirby played it down and respectfully a whole lot. I almost feel like South Carolina's overdoing it to just be real about what's going to happen in front of their fans. And this has been my thing. I know we're probably just beyond our time anyway. Screw it, guys. Here we go. But just in general, me personally, I couldn't understand the Shane Beamer love affair. The whole, I guess he took some iconic picture that Lou Holtz took, maybe, or another South Carolina took in front of the drink stand a few years back after SEC media. I'm like, okay, that's cute. And then I just had people just telling me all the time, oh, you just wait to Shane Beamer. And I'm like, what? Why? What are y'all like? It confuses me. And Heck, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they beat us. I ain't got a clue, but I'm just like, what has he done other than make cringy like press conferences?
Him and Drinkwitz both just seem like such odd fits in the SEC.
Yeah.
They really do.
Doesn't make sense.
Drinkwitz too, and he ate that, didn't he? Oh, yeah. He ate that. It's confusing me. Maybe y'all know more than y'all know. I'm new into this college football world the way I am, and I'm embedded right now. But I'm lost, y'all. Help me.
But all I see with Beamer, he's doing that stuff to try to be endearing to the fans, and I think he's more self-aware than Butch was. But it just becomes so nauseating so quickly as a fan when your coach is doing goofy stuff like that and then going out and losing to Mizzou. You just go, okay, stop it.
Yeah,
it's not about this. Go and win this football game, dummy. Like, go out there and stop the gimmicks. So
were you around at Tennessee when Beamer was there as a GA, or was he there before you?
I think he was after me, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
If he was,
I know he's there at some point. It might have been early on.
I never saw him.
I want to say Jabari told
Maybe
us.
that's what it. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, was he?
He knew somebody.
I'm gonna be real. I'm terrible with like the guys' names like that too. If he was around, I never had a conversation with him. If that was the case, then maybe that's on my fault that I didn't. But
how often do y'all deal with the GAs when you played?
Unless they were O-line, like not a whole lot. Like those dudes are just pushing papers and like writing up scripts for the day. And I say that respectfully because that's what all of them do.
Somewhere.
Yeah, that's what every one of them do. Like they don't really get much airtime with the players like that. Unless like if he was with Jabari, then they're probably about the same age and maybe they kicked it together and stuff like that. But we didn't really dive into the GAs like that much at all.
Well, either way, I just wanted to throw that in at the end because the South Carolina game is coming up this weekend. But
I will say this: I respect their environment.
Yeah,
that's South Carolina. It is legit. Like it get dark there. Huh?
Did you ever play there at night?
I did. They got us in the night game there. It was loud as ever.
Spurrier.
Huh? Yeah, it was Spurrier. Yeah, they got us in the night game. That's why I always respected. And their crowd, they talk about, in between the hedges and the swamp and, Death Valley. But, like, their fans are, like, right, I feel like, on the field. Like, you score a touchdown, you can do a Lambeau leap into their stands. Like, they're on the floor level, I feel like. And maybe I'm just seeing it wrong, and it felt like they were all over us. But I've always respected South Carolina and the night games you can play there. And if you win, you also get Bojangles across the street, too. That's
there you go.
That's the first time I ever heard of it right there was in South Carolina.
There's our respect for South Carolina because we kind of felt like we did our podcast earlier this week and we were like, we really just we gave nothing to South Carolina in that one. It almost feels like we're jinxing it or something. No. But there you go. The environment's real. You're welcome,
it off.
Yeah. But Ramon Foster, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone in Nashville, 6 to 10 a.m. Central Time if you are in that beautiful city in the mid-state. Otherwise, I think that's it. Ramon, thanks again, man, for coming on with us.
Oh, no doubt, guys. Appreciate it. Anytime, man. Go Vols.
Go Vols. And usually at the end here, I say we don't have anything else coming up for the rest of the week, but we actually do. Zach and I are going to record a little extra something, so look out for that, too. I got to promote everything here. Charlie Burr, Zach Rager, Ramon Foster. We will talk to y'all next time, later today.
All right.